All right, Ethan, I always say this is one of my favorite questions. Influencers come in all shapes and sizes, sometimes for a minute, sometimes for a lifetime, and in between. Can you share with us two or three, people, and you may have met them, you may not have met them, could be in your life, whatever it may be, that have been influencers in your life?
Yeah, it's a really great question. I mean, I've had, first of all, too many to name, so it's going to be hard. So I guess I've had, so the first group of people I'll talk about is I've been incredibly lucky to have some incredible bosses in my life, especially early in my career, that shaped how I think about servant leadership and how we serve others. And one of the first was Pat Summitt, who's one of the winningest basketball coaches of all time, who I got very lucky to spend 2 years being her television producer for. And she just taught me the power of words also. I remember one thing that she taught me, which has resonated with me all the time, is as a leader, I say something to a player and it's a Tuesday afternoon. To her, the coach just said something to me and she thinks about it all week. Be careful with the power and weight of your words when you're a leader. Remember that very powerfully. When I arrived in New York, I was a single parent. I was 27 years old and I had a 4-year-old that I was raising on my own. And took a few months, but I got a job as a TV producer at ESPN for a man named Stephen A. Smith, who is a basketball analyst, and he's a general sports analyst. And we had so many pressure deadlines. We were producing a daily show. We did 240 in a year and a half. But I had this kid, and I had issues with daycare. And they decided to move the show. We did it a couple different times, so I don't remember all the details because there were different times, but one of the times was we had to move to like 11 p.m. taping, and it just wasn't possible for me to go to it. So there were plenty of other bosses or other situations where I would have either been let go or moved to a different position, but he let me go home, and I was able to work from home for the show and be able to take care of my kid. And it showed the power of, you work with humans, you work with people. When you take care of them, they take care of you.
Yeah.
I've been incredibly lucky to have so many friends and mentors. Some others have played roles of bosses, or others in my life who have just told me things that I didn't want to hear at the time. One of my really good friends and mentors, one of the first people I ever met when I moved to New York, his name is Peter Hamilton, and he's from Australia. And he has, before COVID, we were meeting a couple times a year. And I remember he's just very plain spoken in what he says. And I often don't agree with him. And then I would go home and realize that he was right, or at least he pushed me in the right direction. And he's helped me navigate a lot of different things and relationships. So I've been very blessed and lucky to have amazing bosses, amazing mentors, amazing friends. My wife, since the moment I've met her, has been incredibly influential to me. She is my best friend. We talk about everything. She gives me lots of great ideas and inspiration. She was a former Army captain in Afghanistan who's dedicated her life to others, who now works at the VA hospital, and just is an incredible human being with warmth, compassion, and probably the best word I can describe is grace. No matter what has happened, she acts with grace. And all of us could use a little more of that.
Yeah, that's a great way to conclude. I guess, and if I add to that, I said, so you married way up, is what you're telling me, right?
There's no reason that this should have happened whatsoever. And every day I wake up honored and grateful, and I'd be like, do you still want to stay married to me? And she's like, why do you ask every day? No, I married very, very up, and I'm very lucky. And it also has occurred to me, it caused me to think it's probably the single, we talk about these biggest decisions. Buying a house is a big decision. I think who you choose to partner with and your best friends, your inner circle, is probably the biggest decision that you'll make. These are the people who are most influential with you on a daily basis. We look at, I was helping somebody prepare for a TED Talk once, and we were talking about how TED Talks are not this thing you prepare for. You give 100 speeches and your 100th one happens to be your TED Talk. Right. It's not like you sit there and say, okay, let's prepare a TED Talk and I'll go out to TED and then give that talk. No, it's what you cultivate every day becomes your life. Life is made up of a series of experiences. It's not that moment. We don't live for we don't live for the Super Bowl tickets that you'll go see the Super Bowl or the vacation in the summer. Life is a series of experiences. You have more positive than negative. You lived a good life. And the people that are most influential on your everyday experiences are who you work for, your boss, generally, your spouse, partner, and your friends that you closely associate with.
You actually made me think of something there before we go. Is we talk about equal access to healthcare, we talk about equal access to education. Maybe we should be talking about equal access to the right people to be around also.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. So I do a lot of work in economic policy and development for startup ecosystems around the world. So the idea there is I've worked in Bangladesh, Ukraine, Uganda, to name a few. And it's access to mentorship and information is often the difference between success and failure, because it's just when you don't have that, you're a startup in one of these countries and you simply don't have that access, you're going to make the mistakes just like we all make mistakes, except we're making fewer of them because we actually have access. The best thing about the human existence is that you actually don't have to make all the mistakes that humans have ever made. You can make wholly your own mistakes, which are fantastic, own them, but you could learn by all the people that have previously made mistakes or learn processes or systems that work. So to your point about when we talk about equity, having access to mentorship and information,
Yep.
key to any amount of equity.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And remind me to introduce you to the Knowledge Pledge, which is an organization that we work with too. So, hey, thanks so much for sharing that. Give your wife a hug for me, and we'll talk to you soon.